Boom, and welcome to another video of the Flowing Dutchman. In this video I'm going to talk about this little copper, this little mushroom on my arm. It's a little active. That's because it's an electronic copper by the company Achedaway. In this video I'm going to find out if it helped me in 2 weeks of use and what some of the benefits could be for you in practice. Enjoy, guys! Now, as you can see, this little copper, this little mushroom has a tendency to move to all sorts of places and suck almost the skin from your bone. So I'm just going to pause that for a second and talk about a little bit about cupping. So cupping has been used for thousands of years, among others in the Chinese culture, the ancient Chinese culture, Russian culture, and there are multiple versions. There's wet cupping, there's dry cupping, and there's also movement cupping. Now, in this video I'm primarily going to talk about movement cupping because I found that to be making the most sense for actually recovery of the muscle, which I am very interested in as an athlete and trainer. Now, traditionally it has been thought that cupping increases blood flow and thereby creating also more energy flow. Now, this is a little woo-woo, so I've been trying to see if there's actually something proven about cupping, and basically two things. One, it increases temperature and blood flow in the particular area, and then two, when done with movement, it actually provides some extra mobility benefits to that particular muscle tissue. And for example, if I push it on my forearm and I let it suck all the way in, then what I can do is start to move that particular muscle area, and you'll feel straight away that it actually starts to pull, and it does feel kind of good. And here I'm showing, for example, a friend of mine how this thing works, and I put it in his neck.
Oh, het is te hard, man. Oh, het is op zich wel lekker. Ik krijg nu wel echt een zuigzin in mijn nek, hè?
Verlanging opzet. Sick, hè? And it's interesting to see that one of his first reactions is to actually start moving his neck while the copper is on his skin. And this also one of the benefits of this Achedaway copper is that it's so strong, it pulls really into, so there's almost no chance of it actually falling from your body when you start moving it. So it really delves deep into that tissue, and the moment it almost falls off, it starts to suck even deeper. So it's a pretty interesting concept which works really well. Now, there's also red light therapy inside. The combination of red light therapy and cupping is very interesting because red light therapy has been proven to increase the activity in the mitochondria of the cells, which basically means that the cells will make more ATP, which is the energy of the cell, which eventually is the energy of the body. So the body has more energy to recover, but also more energy to actually move. So that is a very interesting combination, cupping and red light therapy. So let's talk about this thing itself. It goes on by pressing this little button, and then it directly wants to suck. So it starts to make some sound, and then the moment you put it on your skin, it starts to pull your skin out. Now, as far as options, it's also very interesting. It has 5 different levels of sucking. So if you don't prefer to have bruise for 1 week, like for example my shoulder here, you can choose the first level of sucking, and then you also have 5 different modes. I have tried a few of them, but don't find, I usually go either mode 2, which is more of a suck. It releases the muscle and then tightens it up again, so it's really moving, or the professional level, which really pulls like a regular cup the skin up and almost never releases it. Now this is very interesting because that means you can also use it as a way to massage the tissue instead of just fully cupping and getting bruises all over your body, which could be definitely some complaint for some people if they think about cupping. That's Amsterdam. Now the cupper also comes with 3 different heads, which is very beneficial because the smaller one has a little curve into it, so it actually fits on smaller muscles like your forearm or your neck. The bigger ones you can use for your back, for example, and your legs, and which cover quite the amount of space, so that saves some time and gets more into the bigger muscles. The only thing you have to do is charge it, and it goes up to 3.5 hours of usage time, so that is a long time. A lot of benefits to this little product if you're into cupping. Now, one of the disadvantages I found directly when I got this was I got a lot of questions. Okay, how much time should I use it on the muscle? When can I use it again on the same spot if you have, for example, a spot you really want to work on? These were all questions that were in my mind, and I tried to find some more information about it. And one of the things that really stuck to me is that you use it between 3 to 5 minutes and then move with the tissue and the muscle. This has been shown that it does increase mobility and that a longer time isn't really necessary and might even reverse some of the benefits if you hold it, for example, for like 15 minutes. So, and this is also less time consuming, right? Because you only have one thing if you buy one, and then you have to wait 15 minutes and hold it as still as you can. So that was kind of a relief to me. Just put it on the muscle, start using it, start mobilizing it. Now, as far as the sore spots, for example, you see on my forearm still a little spot of that. Most people recommend not doing another session before the bruise is gone. So those things really help me. And then there's also areas that you shouldn't really use it, which is the armpit and the groin area. Now this information is really important, and I felt that was kind of missing in the manual and also in some of the information about it. I've only been cupped once in my life, which is kind of a strange sentence, but it's really true. So one time someone put all these cups on my back, and then something she noticed was at the mid-back there was turning all purple. And what she said was this area has a lot of tissue, a lot of bulked up tissue, and that's why it turns purple. Now, I've heard a lot of people, or some people, say that that is not true. Although I do find that the areas that are more tight, so you feel it directly when it's on the muscle, like, ooh, this is a tight spot, they tend to be purple or bruised more than the spots that aren't that tight. For example, you see on my forearm still here a spot, even though I did the whole area. There's still one spot over there. And on this shoulder, it's still a little bit more green than, for example, on this shoulder. I did an experiment with the same time, same spot, to see if that was true. Now, this is only empirically, so I can't really prove that, but it's just, I really like that idea that if you have a spot that is really sore, we're not sure what it is, but it tends to be a little bit more bruised and purple. So I do have this feeling that the moment you put it on these spots, it actually works very deeply into that tissue. Now, I've mentioned a few advantages of this cupper already, but let's go over them again. So I do really like the settings in the fact that you can alternate the amount of cupping, the amount of sucking that you can do. I really like the fact that it has multiple sizes so that you can target different areas. The fact that it pulls so strong makes it possible to move with it and it doesn't fall off, so that's very convenient. And then it also tends to leave less bruising than a regular cup, because usually you do it for less time, which is also a benefit for most of the people that are interested in this cupping and don't want to be all bruised up, because I have noticed that people are really shocked when you have these big purple rounds on your back or your shoulders. So that is definitely an advantage of using this over a regular cupping set. And the fact that it has red light therapy in it is definitely a benefit. I've heard that it doesn't really matter on which spot you put red light, because if it affects the blood, then that has an effect on the whole body. Now, as you can see, I'm already in the sun, so I don't really need the red light right now, but in the winter that is definitely an advantage. It's also very healthy for the skin and the muscle tissue, like I said, the energy levels. And another advantage is that it's very easy in use. So you can easily do this by yourself. You can just put it on your back, and before you know it, it starts to suck on your back and it just stays put. You can just walk around, move your back even, start to mobilize that area, and it will work by its own. Now, it does make a little bit of sound, as you've heard, but it's minimal, and usually you get used to these sounds that go the same for extended amount of time. Are there also disadvantages of this Achedaway copper? Sure. For one, it's quite pricey. It's around $170 at the moment, and it comes only in one cup, so it only has one spot where you can use it for. So ideally, I think you would like to have two, because you can work the same spot on the same side, because that would work symmetrical. So I think in the future I will buy another one to complement that, because I do really like the benefit of this. But it's a lot more expensive than if you would buy a regular set of cups. Now, I'm not really experienced with doing the cupping on my own with these sets, but I can imagine that this is a little bit more handy. So in the long term, I would think this is a good product to have, and it does really have some benefits that regular cupping doesn't have. Now, the last thing, like I mentioned already, there wasn't that much information about it, so I would like to have seen Achedaway have some information about cupping, what to do with it for like complete beginners who don't know what to do with cupping. That might be definitely an advantage, and there might also be some risks. For example, different areas where you shouldn't use it. That is definitely that would definitely be a good advice, and for now a disadvantage. But if you have watched this video all the way, then you don't have the disadvantage anymore, because now you know. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of the Achedaway copper. And if you want more information about the Achedaway copper, and if you want to purchase it, I've put a link in the description where you can find all the details. Now, I usually don't accept too many offers of the recovery products, because I already have quite a few recovery products. But I was really interested in this, and this is definitely something new with a completely different effect than the other tools that I already have. So I'm actually really pleased with it. I do really like it, and I think in the future I will buy a second one, so I have complementary little spots on my body. So if you see some of my videos coming up where I don't have a shirt on, you'll probably see some of these. You see the effect that the Achedaway copper has on the tissue. Right, guys, see you in the next video. Ram ram.
Shuffle on the production, like this, yeah, like this, yeah. The flow and Dutchman, yeah, the flow and Dutchman.